Welcome to the deep dive. We dig into the source material so you don't have to. And today we're tackling a really complex world, the world of the Wraithtu.
Yeah, these aren't your typical fantasy beings. They're powerful, evolved, post-human almost, and their society. It's currently tearing itself apart.
Faction fighting, these intense personal conflicts, and some pretty shocking cosmic stuff bubbling up.
Exactly. The sources we're looking at, they paint a picture of colliding fates, really. Power struggles, characters transforming in ways you wouldn't expect, and even, well, hidden species coming to light.
It's dense stuff. So our aim today is to map out who's really pulling the strings in this shadowed court.
Let's do it.
Okay, so where do we start? The politics seem like the obvious entry point. There's this major power struggle kicking things off, involves the Kakahar.
Right, the Kakahar, one of the big, powerful, often quite decadent ruling groups or castes within Wraiths society.
And this specific fight revolves around Ulaume.
Yeah, Ulaume. A har, which is the term for a Wraiththu individual who's really driven by, power plays and seduction.
Yeah.
And he clashes with their king, Leonvis.
Leonvis, the wicked but divine king. That's quite a title.
It is. And the flashpoint, the trigger for all of Ulaume's trouble, was another har named Pellaz.
Ah, Pellaz. He seems central. What's his deal?
Pellaz was, well, very moralistic. He really despised the Kakahar and their whole scene. Saw it as decay, basically.
So when Ulaume tried to, dominate him, there's that weird scene with the hair, right?
Yeah, Ulaume's hair is described as almost alive.
Yeah.
Potent. It tried to strangle Pellaz. It sounds bizarre, but it's a serious assertion of power.
And the king, Leonvis, intervened.
He did. Sided against Ulaume, which led to Ulaume's exile, his punishment. And that one moment, that defiance and jealousy, it really sets off a chain reaction for, well, pretty much everyone we're going to talk about.
Okay, so that's the spark. Our mission then for this deep dive is to kind of untangle these intertwined lives, Flick, Ulaume, Seel, and this Pellaz figure, and see how they connect to the bigger picture, the politics, the magic.
Exactly. Because what you find is that every personal drama, every tragedy has these huge political ripple effects.
Yeah.
Nothing happens in a vacuum here.
Before we move on from the Kakahar, you mentioned a nugget about them, something about ruins.
Oh, yeah, it's fascinating. Speaks volumes about their culture, I think. They perform some of their most important rituals, like this Hubisag festival.
Okay.
They do it inside these ancient ruins. And they openly admit these ruins were built by humans who had, quote, more knowledge than the humans who came later.
So they acknowledge a superior past, even from humans.
They do. And they hold these rites outside, almost deliberately flaunting the secrecy you'd normally associate with sacred stuff. It's this weird mix of arrogance and, dependence on something older they didn't create.
That contradiction, power mixed with insecurity maybe, that feels like a good setup for the core tragedy you mentioned. We need to shift focus to Sultrak now.
Yes, Sultrak. Compared to the Kakahar court, it was relatively stable, maybe a bit flamboyant, but a community. This is where the real emotional damage happens.
What goes there?
You had Seel, who was quite the character, Flick, and their shaman, Orion Farnell, is, a kind of haven.
But that didn't last. The stability gets shattered.
Completely. By the arrival of Cal, he's in exile from another powerful caste, the Oygena.
The Oygena, often associated with darker, more primal energy. Right?
That's the reputation. And Cal himself, the descriptions are intense, lithe, beautiful, but also like a poison, a narcotic, someone who just draws people in, dangerously so.
And he didn't just wander in, he had a purpose.
He did. He arrived working for this incredibly powerful figure, Thiede. Cal's mission was specific. Collect Pellaz for inception.
Inception, that's the process, the transformation from human to Wraiththar.
Correct. And this is where things get really dark, tragically violent. Cal. He gets consumed by jealousy. We're not entirely sure of the specifics, but it boils over.
Yeah.
And he murders Orion Farnell, the shaman.
Wow. Okay. That's huge. A complete betrayal.
Massive turning point. It just destroys the Sultrak community. And the sources are clear. They link this act directly to Cal's Oygena blood, like it confirmed his dark nature.
The fallout must have been devastating.
Immense. Seel is wrecked with guilt. Flick feels totally powerless, just curses Cal's existence. It poisons everything.
But Cal, even as the murderer, he was just a tool, you said, wielded by Thiede.
Essentially, yes. Thiede is the real power behind this, described as this massive, almost alien figure. Even the Oygena leadership defers to Thiede.
So Thiede orchestrated Pellaz being taken. Why?
Thiede had, as the texts say, created a destiny for Pellaz, sent him off for this dangerous caste training, with the Kakahar, the
Yeah.
very people Pellaz despise,
Setting him up for failure almost?
or transformation. This training period is what ultimately leads to Pellaz supposedly dying. But Thiede doesn't really accept death as final.
Wait, so Thiede isn't just a political heavyweight. Thiede messes with life and death itself. That's
Terrifying. And it gets even more so when you learn the truth much later. Thiede is actually the Agama, the progenitor, the source, the original being from which all Wraeththu supposedly descend.
Okay, that changes everything. So Pellaz's death wasn't the end.
Not at all. Thiede brings him back, resurrects him, but completely against Pellaz's will.
And does what with him?
Installs him as the Tigron, the figurehead king of the Wraeththu in their main city, Amanion.
The ultimate puppet master. Thiede literally pulls someone back from death to be a king they never wanted to be. That's horrifying.
It is. There's this one Har, Ashmael, who just calls the resurrected Tigron a zombie puppet, an abomination. It really highlights the cost of Thiede's power, absolute control, even over someone's very existence.
This whole situation, the trauma from Saltrock, Theede's terrifying power. It must have deeply affected Flick and Ulaume, too.
Absolutely. They're both dealing with the Fallen in different ways. It really sends them on these intense internal journeys.
Flick tries spirituality, right, to cope.
Yeah, he's running from the pain, essentially. He finds a shaman, Itzama, and dives deep into magic, into Dahara worship, specifically Aruhani, the Dahara of life and death. He's looking for control, for meaning.
Does he find it?
He learns he has a destiny as a guide. But then his path takes this awful psychological twist. He gets captured by the Ugena leader, Raxalon, and subjected to this brutal initiation ritual in Aruna.
Aruna, the Wraeththu ritual union, but forced.
Yes, but Flick, in this incredible display of mental resilience, manages to internally reframe the violation. He turns it into a sensual feast in his own mind.
That's remarkable resilience, but the damage is done.
Oh yeah, the trauma makes him completely reject Arohani. He sees the Dahara as fickle, unreliable. He basically chooses internal strength and survival over faith.
And Ulaume, the Kakahar seducer, exiled. What's his path?
Ulaume finds something totally unexpected. Responsibility. Family, almost. He finds a harling, an infant Wraeththu, named Lileem.
A harling.
Yeah, basically a Wraeththu baby.
Yeah.
Lileem was abandoned. Her birth was flawed. The pearl, the baith sac, was dark, unusual. Kakahar just left her.
And Ulaume takes her in, the loner.
He does. He feels this sudden, intense, gut-deep protectiveness. It shocks even him.
He has that line, right? Wondering if it must be a female thing, this urge to protect.
Exactly. It's a complete 180 for his character. This abandoned baby forces him to change.
And Lileem isn't a typical harling.
Not at all. She develops incredibly fast. And
Yeah.
Ulaume notices differences, physical things that don't quite fit the typical Hartle biology.
Like what?
Like vestiges of feminine breasts, the source says. And her Wawana limb, the male Wraeththu appendage, is less developed. Ulaume starts asking the right question. Is she something else? Is she Kamagrian?
Kamagrian, okay, that sounds important. Is this the big reveal?
This is the absolute aha moment, the game changer. It comes via Pellaz's sister, Mima.
Pellaz has a human sister.
Had. She was human, their family was murdered, and then she was incepted, turned into a Har. Anyway, Mia meets this character, Tilan, who belongs to a group called the Zigan.
And Tilan knows the secret.
Knows the monumental secret. Lileem and Mima herself are Kamagrian.
So what does that mean exactly?
Kamagrian.
It means they're a parallel species. Not Wraeththu derived from male humans, but a species created from female human material. They are biologically fundamentally different from Hara.
Whoa. Okay, so not just a mutation or an abnormality, a whole separate evolutionary track living in secret.
Pretty much. They often get mistaken for unusual Hara, but no, distinct lineage. And Tilan gives this stark warning. Their survival is a secret because powerful groups among the Wraeththu would want to exterminate us.
Why? What's the threat?
They represent something different. A different power, maybe. A vulnerability the established Wraeththu order can't control or tolerate. Their very existence is political dynamite. This difference, Wraeththu versus Kamagrian, it must have huge implications, especially for things like Aruna.
That's precisely where it goes next, into the cosmic connection. What happens when these two distinct biologies unite?
Right, Aruna, the core Wraeththu ritual. Physical, energetic union. So a Wraeththu Har, like what you mentioned.
Yes, Therese, a complex Har character. When he engages in Aruna with a Kamagrian like Lileem, the effect is off the charts. Potent doesn't even cover it.
It doesn't just create life like normal Aruna might.
No, this union acts like a key, A trigger. It literally cracks reality open, creates portals to other dimensions, other realities, what the texts call the other lanes.
So this unique biology holds the power to tear holes in reality. Lileem and Mima are walking potential reality warpers. That's incredibly dangerous.
Insanely dangerous.
Yeah.
And their first major arena together, Lileem and Thérèse's, it does exactly that. It throws them out of their reality into the void.
Where do they end up?
In this weird, desolate valley. Time is warped, distorted. And eventually, they find this massive structure, an obsidian mountain, basically, carved from black rock.
And this is
The legendary underground library of records.
the ultimate source of knowledge. The place rumored to hold the secrets of creation, the origins of Wraeththu and Camagrian.
That's the one, the source of everything. And Lileem becomes utterly obsessed. She believes the answers to her species, her identity, are locked in that stone library.
How long are they there?
Feels like years to them. But in the real world, maybe only hours have passed. Time is broken there.
They can't stay lost forever, though. How do they get back? It must take immense power.
It does. And it requires both species working together. This is where Pellaz steps up again, using his Tigron power, but combining it with Mima's Camagrian life force.
Leveraging both sides of the equation.
Exactly. He uses his Wraeththu energy, Mima's Camagrian energy, and this magical horse-like creature, a Sadu named Astral, to basically follow Lileem's spiritual trail back through the dimensions.
And pull them out.
Pull them out. But it's incredibly difficult. Lileem is desperately clinging to something she found in the library, a heavy stone book or bowl. She refuses to let go.
Even if it means they might not make it back.
Yeah, it nearly stops the rescue entirely. She comes back physically shattered, but clutching this piece of ancient knowledge. It shows you how much that identity quest means to the Camagrian.
Wow. After all that cosmic upheaval, reality tearing, the story then kind of grounds itself again, back to personal stability.
It does. And that stability is found in relationships, particularly Flick and Ulaume, the survivor and the reformed seducer.
They formalize their bond.
They do. A full, ritualized blood bond ceremony. And it's officiated by Opalexian. She's the big leader among the Camagrian.
Opalexian. Okay, remember that name. And this bond between Flick and Ulaume, it's strong.
The sources call it perfect. So strong, so stable, that even Pellaz, the Tigron, looks at them with envy. It's like an anchor point before the next political storm hits.
Okay, let's get into that storm. The political chessboard. Alliances, betrayals. The Ulaume Thiedes faction are consolidating power. What happens to Seel, Flick's old friend from Saltrock?
Seel completely embraces the Amanian power structure. He leaves Saltrock behind, becomes the consort of Swift.
Swift.
He's Trozian's son, now known as Parsix, a significant figure. Seel essentially becomes Thiedes' agent, his eyes and ears, within the Parsec territory. He trades his old loyalties for influence.
A classic political move.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Pellaz, the Tigron, who doesn't want to be Tigron, what's his play? He's trying to protect his family, right?
Yes, he's walking a tightrope. He uses his position to cut a deal, a very delicate one, with Opalexian, the Camagrian leader we just mentioned. She's reclusive but incredibly powerful.
An alliance of convenience or survival?
Purely survival. The deal involves bringing his family Flick, Ulaume, Lileem, and Mima under Camagrian protection into their stronghold, Shilama.
What's the price?
Status and integration. Pellaz offers Flick the chance to found a temple to Arohani there, giving him purpose again. Mima gets a high-status role, overseeing staff, a beautiful home, basically embedding them within the Camagrian power structure for safety.
And they agree, giving up some freedom for that security.
They do. It's a calculated move. They need Opalexian's protection. But even with this alliance, this careful positioning, there's still that massive loose end from the past.
Cal,
the murderer from Saltrock. Pellaz reveals that Thiede, who had initially imprisoned Cal, has released him.
Released him? Why?
Apparently, Cal renounced all his ties to Pellaz as Tigron, claimed he just wanted to forge a new life somewhere else. But the fact that he's just out there, free, it's deeply unsettling.
Especially given what comes next. There's a final chilling reveal from Opalexian.
Yes. She tells Flick about a developing scheme. Thiedes' power, the Agama's grip, it might actually be weakening. And guess who's being maneuvered into position to potentially take over?
No, not Cal.
Cal. He's being positioned, groomed possibly to become the next Tigron.
The murderer, the narcissist, in charge of everything.
Flick is utterly terrified. He believes Cal's core darkness, that worst part that killed Orion, was never really dealt with, never redeemed. He sees Cal in power as a disaster waiting to happen. Trouble for everyone.
That is a terrifying prospect to end on. Okay, let's try and pull back. synthesize this. What are the absolute key takeaways from this deep dive?
I mean, first, the huge revelation, the Camagrian. This parallel species born from female material, existing alongside Wraeththu, their very existence changes the game.
Right. And second,
The sheer scale of Theed's power as the Agama, controlling life, death, destiny, almost godlike and terrifyingly manipulative.
then there's the Aruna connection. Wraiththu-Camagrian union doesn't just make babies, it punches holes in reality.
Exactly. It's a cosmic key leading to places like the Library of Records, forgotten knowledge. And finally, you can't ignore the personal cost driving everything. Orion's death, Lileem's desperate quest for origins, Flick's psychological battles. These aren't side notes, they're the engines of the plot.
And Pellaz is stuck right in the middle of it all. The unwilling king, trying to protect his family while navigating between Theed's cosmic ambitions and Opalexian's secretive Camagrian power.
It's an impossible position. And yet, amidst all the political maneuvering, the murders, the reality bending, the things that seem most stable are those deep personal bonds.
Flick and Ulaume's perfect bond, Lileem's love for her found family.
Yeah, they represent this internal strength, something the power struggles maybe can't touch.
But that strength, that stability, is directly threatened by that final question the sources leave hanging, isn't it?
Absolutely. The sister itself seems poised to elevate Cal, the embodiment of chaos and violence, from the story's start to the absolute pinnacle of power.
So the final thought we have to leave you with is this. What happens when a society's darkest element, the unrepentant killer, the narcissist, is given the reins? Will Cal's rise shatter the fragile peace Pellaz and Opalexian fought for? Or is this world, this Wraeththu society, ultimately fated to be defined by its own unresolved darkness? Something to think about.